Hello and welcome back. I'm Nicole, the Cottage Witch, and today I'm doing the mid-year tarot tag, the mid-year book freakout tag. It's a 2-in-1 special because I can't find the energy to do both. So it's all happening at once. It was a tag that was modified by Chanel Days, who I'll link below, from the book to mid-year freakout tag, I think it's called. So anyway, and it's not exactly like the mid-year freakout tag. I think she's changed some things this year compared to last year, but that's okay. So let's get started. Question 1: the deck you've used the most so far in 2025 is two or three. So I have a giant pile of things in front of me. It's a little overwhelming. The Witch Sisters. Is that visible? Hopefully the lighting's not totally abysmal. It's a bit later than I meant to be doing this, but oh well. So the Witch Sisters has been a favorite since it came out, which it's been a minute now. Not a long time, but you know, a year or so, I think. Did it come out last year or the year before? I can't remember. Anyway, it's been out for a minute and it is so beautiful and I love it. And I pulled it out this month, particularly because of all the stag imagery, because that is the animal of the month over at Animals and Arcana, her Patreon, Discord? Yeah, Patreon. I get all the things mixed up. And then I made myself a plant deck of Prairie plants used in Prairie herbalism and witchcraft. So I made myself a winter version that I used quite a lot in, when did I get it finally? January or February, late winter, because I was slow in finding old plants, and then you have to get it printed and sent here, etc. But the spring and summer version is out now, and I'm really enjoying it. The chickweed is attempting to take over my garden. It will not succeed because I will keep eating it. It is delicious, and also invasive and not really supposed to be here. But it volunteered on my balcony, so if it wants me to eat it, I will do that. And then some books of the year. So the best books of the year so far for me, one of them is Women, Life, Freedom, Voices and Art from the Women's Protests in Iran. I can't remember what I rated these things, but even if it wasn't a 5 out of 5, it was, it stuck with me. Just their courage and their insistence on producing art that is protest art in the face of just astonishingly overwhelming danger to their lives and safety in the lives of their families and everything. It's just incredible. So that was the Woman, Life, Freedom book. And then The Historian by Elizabeth Kostova was very good. I read this outside of Gauntlet November because Candy from the Great Literary Rabbit Hole had a prompt about vampires, I think in February. I did not read this in February because I've read them all out of order so far. It is impressive the degree to which I have not followed the order of the prompts and done things in any sort of chronological order. It's been a year. Oh well. I really liked the audiobook for Witch in Darkness, Magic for Tough Times, Bad Days, and Moments of Total Catastrophe by Kellyanne Maddox. I listened to that, and the year so far is a bit much. In the world, at my work, at just like, it's a little overwhelming sometimes. So I really appreciated her perspective, and I'd never actually, I've watched some of her YouTube videos now, but I don't think I had before that. Somehow I'd missed that train because I don't know how I manage that. It's an impressive talent I have. Anyway, then I read Purple Witch, which is also very good, and then I think I will at some point reread Witch in Darkness. I also listened to The Woman They Could Not Silence, One Woman, Her Incredible Fight for Freedom, and the Men Who Tried to Make Her Disappear by Kate Moore. She was a woman who disagreed with her husband in, I don't know, 1800 and something, in, I want to say, the New England area. Anyway, he had her incarcerated in a mental asylum, which, I mean, is not presumably pleasant these days, but was considerably more horrifying then. And she tried to convince people she was sane, and it just was a nightmare. But she was impressively stubborn. I appreciate that. And oh yeah, and then I listened to Radical Tarot, Queer the Cards, Liberate Your Practice, and Create the Future by Charlie Claire Burgess. And they made the Gay Marseille, which I got, and is wonderful. I'm not super comfortable with the Marseille system yet, but I've used that one a little bit and really enjoyed it. And the Radical Tarot book is excellent. It's full of a lot of new perspectives on the cards, or just like slightly shifted perspectives to include community in different ways, and it's really good. Okay, I'm getting to the next question soon, I promise. But Kindred by Octavia E. Butler it's like a punch to the guts that then bores out your guts. Like, it's just astonishingly brutal, but slavery was. So in that way, it's probably quite accurate. I mean, it reads like a slave narrative, if you've ever read any of those. If you haven't, I'd recommend it. It's depressing and kind of revolting, but really important. And it just, like, there's sci-fi elements to this book, which is really interesting, because the main character is from the, I think, 1970s. It goes back about 100 years, more than 100 years, pre-Civil War to, I want to say Maryland. I think it was Maryland. And wow, was it hard to read. It is not a pleasant book, but it's a good one. And the characters are really so well done. She was a good writer. Yeah, I'll read more of her stuff. Okay, finally, number 2. A new deck or book that came into your collection. So for the deck section, there were about 6, I think, so far. I meant to get fewer this year, and I did, I think, because one a month is not abysmal. I had a year in like 2002 or something where I got way too many and was overwhelmed. So anyway, I had to scale back a little bit. Still haven't scaled back maybe as much as I should, but oh well. Because Scarab and Dahlia, it was from the US, which with shipping and tariffs I wouldn't have been able to afford, but then it went on a really good sale. So I was like, okay, with the current hullabaloo with their president and everything, I'm never gonna get a better chance to get it than this. So I got it, and I love it. It's so pretty. I think it comes back up in a prompt later, so we'll get to that. And then I got some books that I got. I went through a big poetry kick. And I've read poetry before on and off, but not as much as I did this year. This is the complete poetry and selected prose of John Donne. He wrote sacred poetry and then sensual, sort of romantic sexual poetry, which might seem like an odd combination, but you know, roll with it. I love his style. I love the rhythm of his poems, and I love the way he talks about. I've mostly read his religious poems, and I'm not religious anymore. I'm certainly not Christian anymore, but the way he writes is just so intriguing. Yeah, it's interesting. I'll have to read more. So I got, and sometimes it's hard to find if you just get selected poems of this or that. It's hard to find all of the poems you want to read. So then I just was like, I'll get everything. Just get everything. And then I got Don Juan by Lord Byron, and it is, in order for the rhymes and the rhythm and everything to work, it is pronounced Don Juan for the purpose of this poem, even though Spanish, okay, it's not. But in this exact instance, he intentionally anglicized it. I loved this poem so much. I wasn't sure what to expect, because I've heard, you know, like I've seen the opera Don Giovanni, and I've heard Don Juan stories before. this definitely upset some of those expectations, which was fun. And the writing is so beautiful, and I love it. I will definitely reread it. And then one other book that came in this year was Milldust and Dreaming Bread by Scott Richardson Reed, which I have not read yet, but I will do hopefully this year. I have big plans for everything that I'm probably not actually going to finish this year, but I can dream. This is Exploring Scottish Folk Belief and Folk Magic, and it's also a gorgeously produced book. It's my first Kickstarter book, so that was fun. Okay, decks that could be better. For that, I picked the only deck I thought that I got this year that could be better, because most of them are phenomenal, was the Banned Books Tarot. And this is a lot of fun in a lot of ways. I like a lot of things about it. The artwork is quite fun. These are the backs. Is that not really visible? Questionable, shoddy, unprofessional lighting situation here. And the choices do make sense, but they repeat a lot of books, like more than once. And it just is so unnecessary. I think it's very American centric. But even within the US, the number of book bans and challenges in the last years has been astronomical. It's completely out of control. All you have to do is like scroll through PEN America's website, never mind PEN International, to find well more than 78 different books that you could choose from. So they didn't have to repeat books. And I don't love that choice. This is a good choice for that card though. But like the books they picked for the cards do work. So I like it, but it could be better. And then books that I thought could be better. Okay. These books were mostly, I'm not sure what I expected. Out of By Moonlight and Spirit Flight, The Practice of Otherworldly Journey to the Witch's Sabbath. It focuses mostly on the times of the witch trials, which would be interesting if it didn't take all of the testimony under torture and religious delusions of religious people about what witches did to be the gospel truth. There's just zero critical thinking in this book. So if you want to know what people said they did in witch trials, or what was extracted under torture, or what religious leaders thought witches did, or alleged that they did, then this is a good book. If you want any sort of critical thought about what might have actually been the practice of anybody at that time, this is not going to do it. So yeah, interesting, but also, come on. And then I listened to The Cauldron and the Drum, A Journey into Celtic Shamanism by Rhonda McCrimmon. And it was a good book. There were a lot of things I liked about it, but the idea of the three cauldrons as energy centers, or like as chakras, is not an old idea. That's not an ancient Celtic idea. That's like a 1970s idea. It's very new. Actually don't know if it was the 70s exactly, but like around about that time. It's new. That's not what they were. And if you've read the Cauldron poem, what was it called? I can't remember. I've read an English translation of it because it was in Old Irish, and I don't speak any Irish, unfortunately. It's a really interesting poem. It's not about energy centers in the body. So, you know, do with that information what you will. Most anticipated, okay, so, whoops. There were two number 3. So there are a couple of times where I think Chanel changed the questions from last year, and I like the new questions, but if I also liked the old questions, then I'm doing both. So there are two number 3s. Most anticipated deck or book that was released this year. The Unasa Yos 8th edition is definitely one of them, because it has been on my like wish list, dream list for, I don't know, since I heard about it, but that was presumably post 7th edition, which must not have been, you know, so very many years ago. But since I've heard about it, the only editions available have been stupidly overpriced on eBay and whatnot, and nope, that's not happening. So when she did the pre-order for this one, I was like, yes, please, I'll jump on that train. And it's very bold and very witchy. It's witchier than I expected it to be. I don't know why. I like it. And then the other one that I was anticipating a lot this year that I somehow missed the train on the first time around, like when it was on Kickstarter for a minute, is When Olga Speaks. And I'm not actually mad about that, because I don't think I'd have backed this if I'd done the Kickstarter version. Now, it would have been cheaper because the tariffs killed me a little bit, but the production quality is gorgeous. And look at that. It's so pretty. I have not used it. It is still in order. I've just looked at it and admired it so far. I still have to, I'm gonna read the guidebook for this one. I don't always, but I will do for this one. So yeah, this is edges are all nice and matte black, and it's beautiful. It's a work of art deck. So I will get into that soonish. I also had pre-ordered the Buffalo Hunter by Stephen Graham Jones, and then haven't read it yet because I don't know. Figure my brain out sometimes. I will read it though, maybe in October. But I will get to it this year because the premise is really intriguing. It's probably going to be too gory for me because, you know, it just probably is. But the premise was too interesting to not get it, and then I was going to read it for a late Thankyary for Candy's Challenge, and then still haven't gotten to it yet because I don't have a good reason. Life is bananas. That's my reason. Okay, deck you're currently using is Tarot Avatar. This has been my deck for last week and this week. It's still, oh, it's a beautiful, bright, vibrant summer day. Creative spirit dealing with chaos and painful things, because she had a lot of pain and trauma in her life. But also finding joy and exuberance for life through all of that, which has been really helpful in the last few weeks. Because did I mention the world is bananas? Did I need to mention that? Probably not. Everybody knows, I think. So yeah, that has been the deck this moment. And then this big thing I'm reading is The Brontes by Juliet Barker. I am now yay far into it. It feels like I haven't made much progress. I'm only on page 68. The beginning is a little slow because it's mostly about Patrick Bronte, and I'm not super interested in him, but there are some things like the origins of evangelicalism that I find interesting because I grew up in a fundamentalist evangelical community, and so reading some of the origins of certain, let's say, genres of sermons, like the hellfire and brimstone, you know, that sort of thing, and the there's a car alarm going off. Hopefully you can't hear that too loudly. What was the other thing I was going to say? Lost it. Nope, it's gone now. Anyway, it was interesting. The stuff about the Luddites was interesting because I'd read about the Luddites before and then kind of forget things. But yeah, getting into that. Okay, number 5. Biggest surprise. The biggest surprise was that I got Desert Illuminations Tarot at all, because it's not my usual thing. But okay, so I found her via, she's got a new deck, newish deck out to do with saints. I can't remember what it's called, which is very much not my subject matter, so I didn't spend indie money on that. But the colors were gorgeous. I still prefer the color combinations in that one. And if it had been mass market instead of this one, I might have gotten it. But like, look at that. Ugh, it just makes me happy. I haven't used it a ton yet. I used it for a couple of weeks and then it's just been sitting there. Like, this is not normally my thing. But it's just, I really like the colors, the color combinations in it, and it brings a smile to my face, which, you know, sometimes is just what you need. And for a mass market deck that took a minute to be available in Canada, because I think it's US Games. Is it US Games? Yes, it is. They always take a while to be available outside of the States. The teal-ish, whatever color this is chipping off the edge, but, or like getting, I don't know, it just looks a bit rough. I'm not sure what's happening there exactly. But that's okay, I don't mind. And yeah, that is, I'm surprised I got that at all, but it cheered me up one winter day. What else surprised me? The Tenant of Wildfell Hall surprised me, sort of. I knew I liked it, but the last time I read it, I was in my undergrad, so I was probably about like 19 or 20 or something. And I don't know, reading this book, when did I finish it? Was I quite 40 yet? I might have still been technically 39 when I finished this. It's a very different perspective on the world, can I just say. So I appreciate this book so much more now that I'm older and I just have more like experience with the not so nice sides of humanity, or the more sort of complex relationships that you can be in that you don't, hopefully, unless you've had a pretty traumatic upbringing, understand at 18, you know, in quite the same way. It's a beautiful book. It's really well written. She was a good writer. She always gets overshadowed by her sisters, but she deserves the accolades too. She was really good. Oh yeah, I read. I got it from the library, so I don't have it anymore. Heating and Cooling, 52 Micro-Memoirs. Wow. 52 Micro-Memoirs by Beth Ann Finley. I didn't know there was such a thing as micro-memoirs, but I loved that book. It was super fun. And if I ever wrote memoirs, it would probably be like that. This is The House on Mango Street by Sandra Cisneros. I thought, being, you know, officially middle-aged now, huzzah, that I was sort of done with coming-of-age books, which I kind of am. They don't interest me as much as they used to because I'm kind of past that particular period of my life. But this one was so beautiful. And despite being incredibly different from my upbringing in every conceivable way, the young girl was so relatable. It was, yeah, loved it. What else? Oh, The Black Panthers Speak by Philip S. Fonar. So I listened to a book that's like a compilation of Black Panthers writings from their newsletter, magazine. No, did they have was it a newspaper? I can't remember. Anyway, they published a lot of articles, and this was mostly that. Some interviews and different things, and it was so interesting. And the reason I say it was a surprise was not that I didn't know that the Black Panthers had been misrepresented in my, you know, white Canadian upbringing, because I did, but I didn't realize the degree to which they'd been misrepresented. They really were not the totally unreasonable, feral, like violent. Usually, it was the police and the FBI who brought the violence, except for like twice. But almost always, it was the police coming in with the violence, not the actual Panthers. And a lot of their policy proposals make a startling amount of sense and just appeal to my sense of basic human decency, in that everybody should be treated as though we're equal, which is obviously, like, everybody is not treated that way at the moment. That's not the case currently, which is ridiculous that this is still a problem. Surely we could figure this out. But they had a lot of ideas that were, I think, quite good and sensible, and they did a lot of good things. They fed a lot of kids, they protected a lot of people, a lot of kids, even like black kids going into integrated schools who needed protection. Yeah, they did a lot of interesting work. Number 6, deck or book crush or best. So I don't tend to have a book crush, so I'm doing best book reread, but deck crush at the moment is, well, any particular time. I picked the Maria Tarot for this. I could have picked the Avatar again, but I have the Maria out as well. I haven't used it in the last few days, but sometimes I will pull a reading and have these little stands that I stick the cards into on my bookshelf, and I'll just leave them there for like a couple of weeks at a time and, you know, ponder things. and appreciate the artwork. So yeah, this is for pondering and appreciating. That is that. I feel like I talk about this once a year or more, but The Ode Less Traveled by Stephen Fry is one of the best rereads. I've read it 3 or 4 times now. I'll read it again. It's everything I ever wanted in a poetry English lit class. Okay, favorite tarot card is When Olga Speaks. So the minute I opened this up, I fell in love with this card, which was on the top, which is the Elder. I love this card so much. It's so beautiful. And I love the angle is a bit funny, but it makes it almost look like a mask, her face, or his face. It's a bit ambiguous. I assume it's her face, but whatever. But I really love the look of older people's faces, like with the worn, not necessarily wrinkles, but just like skin that's, you know, seen some things. It's beautiful. So that's my favorite card at the moment, which is not technically a tarot card, but whatever, we're rolling with it. Favorite new to you author. I can't remember if I've read the Hacienda yet, but I read Vampires of El Norte by Isabel Caña. Sorry, I don't speak Spanish. It was really good. I really like that one. So I'll have to check and see if I've read the Hacienda yet. I might have and forgotten, because I have memory like a sieve. The other book that I have but don't have, because I loaned it to my dad, is One Day Everyone Will Have Always Been Against This by Omar Al-Akkad. I have American War on my shelf. I have the audiobook out from the library. I will read that book. I just haven't yet. So technically this one is my first that I've read from him, and it was really good, but really depressing. It's just so, the world is so frustrating. And the fact that you can't talk about how we shouldn't kill kids without people yelling at you is just mind-boggling to me. Like, you'd really think we could agree on that. Apparently not. Anyway, that's my rant. Well, I've had a couple of mini rants so far. A Dagger book that makes you happy. Okay, so Avatara was my pick for this one again, because it's just cheering me up this week. Books that make me happy. The Enlightenment of the Green Gage Tree. So this might be a funny one to pick, because it does deal a lot with government oppression and violence, repression, I guess I should say, and violence and death. So it's not always cheerful, but it's a Middle Eastern magical realism book, and I'm there for it. I love it. So that aspect makes me happy. The other book that I listened to from the library was The Light Eaters, How the Unseen World of Plant Intelligence Offers a New Understanding of Life on Earth by Zoe Schlanger. I don't speak German either. I assume that's a German last name, although I think she might be American. Anyway, not the point. The point is, plants are amazing, and I am delighted that other people are getting on the plants are amazing train. They're so cool. And it's a grounded in science book, but there's a bit of wonder, I guess, that sometimes is lost in science-focused books, which shouldn't be the case. And I've read science books by scientists that are full of wonder, and that's how it should be, I think. And this very much, she's a science reporter, she's not a scientist, but she interviewed a ton of scientists for this book, and yeah, it's amazing. Love it. Okay, great guidebook. I finally read Our Tarot guidebook by Sarah Shipman. It's super good. It's like 2 or 3 pages on each of these remarkable women. Here's, oh, Frida Kahlo. Speaking of whom, it's got the art a bit bigger, which is beautiful, and just a little couple of pages about that person, which is handy because I don't know all of the women, but I've read about all of them now. Ooh, here's Emily Dickinson. who is the Hermit, which is like all of the choices are perfect choices. They're so good. And so I'm very glad that I can finally actually use that deck. And every now and again, I do have to pop into the guidebook and remind myself who somebody is. But then it's like, oh yeah, that person, I remember that. So it's not like they're totally unknown to me now, which is great. And then for books, I picked the Cambridge Companion books that I think Rachel from Second Thoughts About the Mission introduced me to. There's a series of like hundreds of these suckers, and I didn't know they existed. And now that I do, it's very dangerous because they average like $40 each, so they're not super cheap. But I found these ones, I think. No, the Brontes, yeah, no, this was a Goodwill one. It even says Goodwill on the side. I ordered it on the internet, but it apparently was in Goodwill at some point. This one also used. Yeah, so these are all used. So I read the Brontes one last year, and it was really good. I loved it. And now I'm reading British Romantic Poetry. I started this earlier in the year and then got sidetracked by 37 other books. But I will finish it because I'm really enjoying it. They're just really fun, and it's like being back in like really good English classes, not really boring English classes, really good ones. Okay, and then what number 10 is, what deck or book do you want by the end of the year or still waiting on? So I backed the Kickstarter for My Friend Fire, the Oracle that by Mari in the Sky, who did the Gentle Tarot, which is my all-time favorite. And the Brady Tarot is another one that I'm waiting for. I think she had some health problems, or was it somebody else who had some health problems? Anyway, there have been delays with like all the Kickstarters I backed this year, and there are like 4 of them. Mostly out of people's control, like health crises and whatnot. So what can you do? You can't really plan for that if it's a one-person operation. So still waiting on those. Hopefully later this year, we'll see. I have pre-ordered the book Feral and Hysterical, Mother Horror's Ultimate Reading Guide to Dark and Disturbing Fiction by Women. So Sadie Hartman has written another book on horror, on all different genres of horror. And I've decided I'm not a super into horror person. I've dabbled in it the last year or so, and it's not, by and large, it's not for me. But Gothic fiction is very much for me. And this Dark and Disturbing Fiction by Women sounds interesting. So I want to read that one. And then The Devil's Ointment by Corinne Boyer I want to read. Or I want to get that book some which way or another. Okay, number 11. Which deck hasn't been used yet, but you want to work with it this year? Okay, so When Olga Speaks, because it came in the door 2 days ago. Daydream and In Situ I've only used a teeny tiny bit because I got this at the same time as I got Scarab and Dahlia, and that one sort of took priority. Whoops. So I haven't used this a ton yet, but I will do. It is, oops, it's stuck in the box, and now I'm losing all the cards. Okay, good. It's a beautiful collage deck, and it inspired me to make some, to try dabbling in, let me see if I can find a good example. I mean, they're all sort of good examples, but like this sort of sea and sky made up of little papers of different colors. So yeah, that's been fun. So yeah, I will use that more for sure. All right, and then okay, books I need to finish this year. I will finish Villette this week because the audiobook is due back at the library. I do have the physical copy, which is very pretty and beaten up, but I love it a lot. I like things that look old. I don't need it to look new and shiny all the time. So that's why I don't mind that one deck that the edging is looking a bit worn, because I actually like that look. Okay. The Brontes by Juliet Barker, which I think I talked about already. Oh yeah, I need to get back to, at some point, I will finish Ulysses. So I've read this before, but I read it with a podcast called Rejoice, where you basically end up reading through the whole thing twice. So it takes a good long while. And as well as reading through it twice, he goes through all the references and everything, allusions to other works that he can think of in any little section, and each section is like a page. So there are hundreds of episodes, and it takes a long time, but I will get back into it because I love the writing. I also really want to finish Wab Rice's book in French, The Moon Encrusted Snow. I want to finish that one. I don't know where I put it. I'm still working on it. I'm slow. I also took like a month off practicing French, which not very good, but oh well. In Arabic. So this is short stories in Arabic. It says intermediate. It's not really intermediate. They're the same beginner stories as other beginner books, but it's intermediate because of the script. So I've listened to the first story is the first four chapters, I think. And I've just been mostly listening to it. So I've listened to it, that story and the 4 chapters about a dozen times or so probably at this point. So I can follow the story even though I don't know all of the words. And so I want to do that with the rest of the stories in this book. And then at some point I'll go through it all again and actually try reading along. It's difficult. And then I want to finish Icelandic plant magic before I go to Iceland. This is Folk Herbalism of the North. It's really interesting. I'm like a third of the way through. Yeah, I want to finish that one. Favorite video you've made or seen? I think I'm going to skip that one because I don't know. I'm bad at picking that sort of thing. And then 13 is to pull a card for the next 6 months, or pick a card whose energy you want to bring into the next 6 months. So I don't think I've ever actually pulled a card on video before. That's new, but I'm gonna give it a go and hope I don't get too flustered and forget everything I know about tarot as soon as I pull it, which is really a distinct possibility, can I just say. Anyway, this is the Tarot Avatar that I'm using. And this is, oh good, the 6 of Swords. Interesting. Okay. I mean, there's a lot going on in all of her cards. So this feels like part rest, part journey, part Moses in a basket escaping a factory and lightning. Like there's a lot going on here. I don't know. Balance. It's finding some sort of balance as you move through the world, maybe, is how it'll go this year. That's what I'm trying to do anyway. I don't know that I'm succeeding, but I'll get the cards back together. I'll give it a good go anyway. What else can you do, right? All right, that was the mid-year tarot tag. I feel like this has been a long video, so sorry. Not sorry, but you know, I pretend to be sorry. If it'll make people happy. If you want to do this tag, I've left the links below and the link to Chanel Days as well. I can't remember who originally started the book tag, but it's been around for like over a decade now. So yeah, this was fun to do. I've only watched a couple people so far this year, but I will catch up sometime. I am so behind on everything, but I will catch up eventually. Anyway, that's all for today. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.